Hello everybody and welcome back. This is fattybull.com or bernhard.rieder, and this is now my next design case study session in real time. I'm going to show you how I go from this retail cafe space, and you can also move the camera around and see the entire space. This is so-called clay render right now, so there are no specific materials assigned, but how I go from this one to the final stage, fully textured, shaded and lit, to this one in real time. And as always, you can download this entire project from my website fattybull.com. You can find it in my resource section. And yeah, I would love to hear your feedback and also to see what you have to say about material and lighting studies in real time using this software for free. And keep in mind, you can use this software for free and download my entire project and the materials, and you can run your own tests and material studies, and you can also use it for your own projects, of course. And I would like to hear your feedback, and I appreciate getting any of your comments. And if you would like me to work on any specific design case study, please feel free to let me know, and I will be happy to jump into that and create another case study for you as well. And let's see what we can do. So, but for now, let's get started. As you can see, right now I'm in the lit mode. That's the unlit mode, and that would be detail lighting, and that is the lighting only. And when you look at this, this is kind of like the clay mode. That basically means lights have been planted, and as you can see, a retail space can be very, very challenging because, as we all know, there are hundreds of lights in it, and that's also for visualization always a big challenge, especially if you retrace everything, and also here in real time. So you can also see here outside, this is basically my virtual garage, my virtual mock-up place, because when you look at that, then you can clearly see that it's just basically a dome or a dome, and everything is wrapped up inside of this digital garage. So I call my playground, my space, my digital design space, digital mock-up place or digital garage. And what you see here is really happening in real time. So when I change this to lit mode, then you can see I was wrapping this space into an HDRI environment. There is nothing special about this, but it's kind of pretty cool at the beginning to start with, because it gives you kind of like, a starting point. And then you can also see that I was already adding some texture maps, and I was adding some lights and, to the geometry. And I would also say, when you begin starting designing or creating a case study and you would like to assign lots of different materials, I would say just start with a corner of it, or a little section like this seating area here, because if you do so, you get a much better feeling of how everything works. The scene file is much lighter and faster if you start doing a mock-up in 3D space, like in real time. That helps tremendously. So what I can show you here, for instance, you can also see those materials can be swapped up very easy. You drag and drop. You can have multiple materials on one of those assets. Of course, it has to be set up, accordingly when you prepare that scene file for, basically real-time technology. Then you need to know how you have to set up things up front before. But once you have been doing this successfully, it's kind of really fun. And I have to say, I enjoyed designing or visualizing and helping designers to visualize whatever directions they have or visions they have, because this is kind of like super cool at this moment. So you can see, you can select the geometry and select also the material and then drag and drop, and you can assign it, and boom, you have it on the next object. It goes so quick, it's really so super cool. So for example, if I want to have this on this entire wall, I plant my wood on this side wall and I can immediately see the impact of that specific space, right? So on the other side, I can do it as well and plant it here, and I can say, so I start with some wood. You can also see here the bar. I assigned a wood shade as well, and you can see from the lighting, I positioned everywhere a bunch of lights. Lighting is, of course, very, very important because, as we all know, lighting really matters and creates a lot of, different moods. So that's very, very important. So where do we get started? Actually, what I usually do on a design study is I'm usually starting with the big elements. And for example, the floor and the ceiling, they have usually a huge impact to the entire output, right? So, I mean, you could assign here now the wood on the floor as well, and you see everything gets warmer. I can do it on the ceiling too and assign it. And we can clearly see that it has already a very nice and warm feel to it, right? So what's next? I mean, I have to say that's designing or a material and lighting study in this particular case is a real challenge because you can go in now and drag and drop different materials and design it and see what's happening, put it on the carpet, or we can also go in and make design changes, for instance, here on the lamps, add different materials to it and see what impact it actually really has to the entire space. And this is really cool because I have to say you have so many options, you can play with. And what I really enjoy is like that you can drag and drop so many different things so quick in place and see like, is this going to work out, or is my interior design direction, especially when it comes to fabrics, finishes, absolutely off. And what I like about this study is for sure that you can assign so many different materials and just check it out and see like what's happening. It's really kind of like crazy. And, I also honestly say like, don't fear to assign whatever you believe you want to show, or you feel like, oh my God, this will never work out if I sign it, because you never know how the final output actually looks like, right? But let's get started. I show here then and speed up things a little bit how I design, that cafe, or what specific different material studies I'm going to do. And yeah, I hope you will enjoy it. And then let's see what the final output will be. Also, I give this scene file away for everyone, like all the time, all my digital assets and my scene files for training purpose, and especially for all the designers out there. You can download it for free on my website, of course, and then you can do it by yourself. You can experience this by yourself, and guess what? The software is also for free. So all you have to do is download my assets and download the software, install it, and then you can do the same. Of course, what I recommend, it's not mandatory, but what I recommend, what would be cool, is if you have a nice RTX graphics card. So if you use the RTX technology from NVIDIA, then it supports also real-time ray tracing. That means you see all the reflections, the refractions, translucency, in real time. And that is, of course, a huge, huge benefit in designing your stuff, because you can see things in real time, like kind of photoreal, and it helps you to basically get an idea how something looks like. So for instance, look at this example here, the light, whatever shader you assign, it's kind of pretty cool. if you are going to check out different materials, and you have also here the manual focus setup, look, you get a depth of field and you get a bokeh effect even. That's so cool, and you can really then focus on that specific object, right? Imagine you are designing a chair, a sofa, a specific furniture for your interior design, right? And you can go choose that software and like all the different materials, assign it, and make your studies on the fly. I think, that's really so super cool. You can play with the exposure settings and so on. And as you can see, it is, I think, like it's the best, nicest tool I have been working with. It's really fun. And I enjoy now working with designers so much more using this technology, because it's really so much fun, and you can run quick so many different tests, no matter what you would like to assign here. That might be a little bit crazy, but look, for instance, this is a nice example too. If you go like choose a close-up shot and you would like to see how that material looks like on that specific lamp, right? It's kind of cool. So for example, I choose here like a lens where you can see it more clearly, and the depth of field is not as strong, but it's super cool. I mean, this is in real time. No matter what material you would like to assign, you see it immediately. Now check this out. So for example, if I like that, right, I can change the intensity of the light. Click in it, make this 10. I can change the softness or whatever, and the radius. I can change the position of that light. I can change the color of that light. I can make it blue. I can make it red or pink. It's very, very cool. I love that. It's really cool. You see also the highlights immediately here on the wall. So it's really, really cool. But again, look at this section. The chairs are still kind of clay, and there's nothing been assigned. So now let's go a little bit crazy, maybe just a wall, and let's focus on some elements you can do here on the wall. So there are materials, I don't know, but we can go super crazy and just like assign something. Look at this metal, right? How does it affect my space? How does it look like? Yeah. You can also make a nice close-up shot here and see what it does. It's kind of a cool material, I have to say so. And look, the effect on it, it's kind of changing. It's changing the design immediately, right? Let's say I want to change the frames here to black. Now let's keep going. I don't know what I can pick here. Let's do like a golden material. I actually like this one a lot. It's like a really cool pattern. And when I do material studies, for the walls, for the floors, etc., I have the tendency at the beginning to just go super crazy. I would say any interior designer always told me, Bernhard, what are you doing? This is crazy. And I just say, you know what? The cool stuff, it's all digital. So imagine, so it doesn't cost me anything. I can do anything I want, because imagine you would have a garage, right? And you would like to build this even in your backyard or in your garage. I mean, can you imagine how much efforts it would take to create those material studies? I mean, how much money you would need to build it. You need to build it all out. You need to do the lighting, and then you need to purchase or create all those materials. No way that you can do this as quick as you can do it in a digital way, right? So this is super cool. I don't know. Let's keep going with my craziness. Aluminum brushed. Oh no, I don't like that. This is a tiling. That's kind of like a really cool material. Oh yeah, wow, look at that. How it's changing totally. That is even cool on the floor, right? The impact of that material alone, right? is crazy. It's changing. Wow, look at this. It's changing already the entire feel. And maybe this on the top then. This is kind of cool. I like that a lot. For instance, for example, the golden ceiling. Whoa, that looks kind of fancy. But anyways, as you can see here, if I focus on this section, I kind of, like to experiment and just like use lots of different elements and see what it actually does. And that's now really drag and drop and experiment. And by the way, those case studies I'm creating for, lots of different, spaces. It doesn't matter in the architecture world if it's an interior space, if it's exterior space, if it's in the retail for exhibits, events, you name it. It's just like super cool, and creating those material studies is just like awesome. But look at that. That's kind of also an amazing material. But you can also see how strong an impact is to all those elements we do. Now let's do something maybe more classic, a brick wall. And this would almost go like into a New York style cafe. Pretty cool. Look also at the quality, texture maps, really cool, right? Let's say maybe I want to do the lamp now also black, right? How is this going to affect the whole room? And maybe what I would like to do is, this is actually for example, that should be a glass wall, or not even a glass. I want to open this and I can go and assign glass. And what I also need to do, and that's cool that you can see this here, because so many people ask me, Bernhard, my glass is not working out. What am I doing wrong? When I follow your, basically your design studies, I do not achieve the same effects. And then people ask me, what do I have to do that glass looks like glass and that I get actually the effect what you showed me also in your tutorial. So first of all, what you want to do is you have to check your post-process volume, and in here you have to make sure that in the translucency type you have to go with ray tracing. Okay, this is super important. And further down the road, you also want to make sure that you check the ray tracing translucency is turned on, as you can see here right now. And you want to make sure in the shadows that you have area shadows turned on. Now, look at this. Once you did this, isn't that cool? I mean, look at that glass. You can now look outside and check what's going on, right? So now if this space is open, I like that. That side, that super cool. And I think I had also the idea first to keep those doors kind of like to make sure that you can slide them so you can open those doors, or huge windows, so to speak. But I think that's kind of super cool too. Now, look, for example, here, this would be the floor with this crazy material on it. Then we have here wood. And as you can see, I'm all over the place now. This is experimenting, and I think in terms of design studies and case studies, especially materials, that's super cool because, you can make so many quick changes and change and influence the space so dramatically. Let's see what I have here in marble. Let's go and let's try something really, I think that's ugly if we assign this, but whoa, yeah, that marble looks a little bit crazy. What if I go black? This looks also a little too strong and punches me in my eye, but I think even that marble, I don't like that, but maybe something more subtle like this one. Yeah. This one looks in the reflection super cool and has kind of like really cool, nice patterns in it. What's crazy is that you can also see all those reflections when you set it up like this way and when you look outside. Oh yeah, and by the way, because it's also a case study, and when you go outside, this is correct. I do not have basically finished the model here in terms of the entrance and the gates or the doors. That should be the main entrance in front here. But I think the cool stuff is, and that's what I always wanted to show, or I want to show in those case studies, is what you can actually do with material studies and how crazy it is, how fast you can actually see how strongly it's influencing your environment, right? What else I wanted to show you in this case study is, for example, you can swap out the environment super quick. It's the same, and you can use free HDRIs. I do this all the time. So an HDRI is a high dynamic range image. And what you can do is basically load images, HDRI for free from any website, and bring it also into the environment. And I'll show you how to do that. So if this is the HDRI, and I showed you before, I show you also in the wireframe, this is this kind of dome here, right? If you go into lighting only, then you can see it's this dome. And what you can do is super cool. You just drag and drop anything you have into this environment, and now it's changing the environment. Look at that, right? Now I get a cooler look because I have just basically ocean and sun out there. But it, as you can see, it's also influencing my space. And I kind of like the feel of this one. Or I have here in Germany den Hansaplatz. So, and you can put in this one here, and then you can see it's basically a night shot. But then I can see how my space looks or would look like in this night environment. And you can clearly see also how strongly it influences the feel of it, because that specific HDRI is warmer and this one is cooler, right? So you see it also in the GI bouncing like it would affect the place also from the outside. You can clearly see it here on the chair, even if it's not textured and shaded yet, and it's just a so-called clay material, but you can clearly see it, and it's super cool. I like also this one here. And as you can see, this is just like so powerful, because whatever you use and whatever vision you have, you know, you can totally go in and influence the look and the feel of it, and just like go ahead and keep testing. For the camera, what I also wanted to show you, you have of course full camera functions. So that means you can change the white balance. You also here in the HDRI you can rotate everything, and can say like if you don't like it at this place, right? You rotate the dome, the HDRI. Look at this. If I rotate it to 180 degree or whatever, the lighting is influencing it, because there is now, you know, the HDRI is influencing now the interior space, because all those lights are changing and they're bouncing inside of that specific space. And as soon as this is changing, you can also change then here the exposure, right? And adjust it, so to make sure that you have the right exposure settings with your camera. And that, what is so cool about it is, what I love so much about it is because it's really reacting in real time. The most interesting part is that you can also see you can swap out texture maps pretty fast, pictures or whatever. You can use different fabrics. I mean, there is really whatever you like, right? And you can do this so quick and so fast. I would call this, with the concrete, the New York style, maybe with black and everything. I think that, and the white lamps, I think that's also pretty cool. And as you can see, you can exchange that super quick. You just drag and drop, and you can create all different kind of materials. So for example, I want to show you maybe another example here on this. Let's say you're working on this lamp, and let's say you don't like it as glossy, right? Then you can make it totally matte. You go in and change that, and now you see it, boom, now it's completely matte and diffuse. But I could also change the glossiness to like super shiny, and look at this. Now I have it super sharp in the reflection, and I also assigned this here on that lamp. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy how fast and quick you can do something. And of course, if you want to change the color here, you can totally do that just by changing the color. First of all, I think if it's a little matte, that's much nicer and more real looking. Having all those options and the possibilities to play with color, with materials and lighting, I mean, literally everything you want to do. I mean, just look at that. If you are going to change the lights, how would it influence the entire space? And how does it look like if you would even assign like a red floor? Whoa. Right? So, and maybe furniture. I didn't show you that yet, but for example, if you want to work on this, I want to show you that you have options that you can really assign to anything you specified before on your model, any kind of different materials. So let's say those are the legs, and I want to have them chrome or bronze, or I don't know, some highly reflective, or this is kind of like a wood pattern as well. And let's say I pick for the main part here something. Whoa, this is ugly. Let's see this. Whoa, this would be leather, but as you can see, you would need to assign or like change the scale of it. And maybe I also want to show you this, how I do this relatively quick and simple. Look at this. If I want to make that, that kind of looks funky, right? If I want to make this like super shiny, look at that. Whoop. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy that you can actually texture and paint a chair like this within a couple seconds and completely change the look. I mean, look at this, right? That material is kind of really funky, but it's really good to see what you can do, and how the total final design looks like. So maybe, because I think those fabric materials are not really made for that chair, I think I like this one. I had one on before that kinda would be okay for that specific chair. Yeah, and like I said, you can go ahead and you can make so many changes. Look at this. If you change, for instance, the fabric to this pattern here, and it looks kind of nice. Look at that, right? And then I made the kind of wood is kind of like black now. But as you can see, if I want to change now every single chair, maybe I also wanted to show you how that works. All you have to do is you can select all the chairs in one shot and drag and drop. As you can see, one material to it, right? And then it's assigned to every single chair. Look at that. And I think that's also pretty cool, right? That you can see what you can do with it. And just by looking at that section, it's kind of crazy how you dramatically can change the final look. Oh, that's ugly. No, that doesn't work out either. Black on black? Who knows? But for sure, what I wanted to show you, look, if this is a plain concrete here, right? But what I wanted to show you in this design study, the first one for a larger space, and that's usually a real challenge because it's a huge space, and you have so many options. It's kind of really crazy. But I think what's so cool about it is that you can also use my scene file and feel free to maybe show me a design. That would be super cool. And design study of that space where you feel like this would be a killer, right? Yeah, that would be amazing. I would love that. I would love to see something like this and yeah, surprise me what you're going to do and how you think you could design that space, right? Oh, and by the way, maybe if that chair and we have the red shiny material, maybe it looks much nicer if this is also red, right? Boom, let's exchange this. Oh, it's not bad. And then maybe, yeah, look at this, the glossiness on the wood here. Look how shiny it is. Kind of really cool when you see that. Maybe it would be also cool if the fabric pattern, then if everything is in this red with the red materials, right, would be also, instead of having blue patterns, red patterns, the textile pattern, and that can be easily done and exchanged as well. And yes, by the way, as you can see here, as I swap out texture maps, like here in the background, that's a profile shot from my little head. And if you would like to exchange that, I show you how simple that is, okay? So let's go maybe here to Google, and let's say you have, oh, I'm using DuckDuckGo, but Google Images, and you just drag and drop it. So here we go, then you have it in the pictures inside, okay? And now if you have this specific texture map here, whatever I want to show you, you basically go in and say like, now I want to change the texture map. You drag and drop it and you save it. So once this is done, boom, it pops up, you see? And also what you can do is you can change the scale, the scaling and the size and everything, and you can load videos, movies, you can make this interactive, you can change also of course the resolution, you can create a bump map and so on. So I also wanted to show you that in the design process because so far technology, lots of designers ask me, Bernhard, like all this 3D stuff, it's so complex, it's so complicated. Yeah, in a way it is, but I have to say, luckily, I can help you, and I know, how to kickstart those things, and I can help you out if you have any trouble somewhere to explain it to you and help you setting up a scene file and learn the basics also for the software. And I remember I had discussions about that, probably 15 years ago with designers when the digital stuff came up. Like I remember Illustrator, Photoshop, and people said, no, I don't want to learn this. I don't know how to do that. And it was all 2D based. And today things are shifting and moving into 3D space, right? And it's basically now the same, where a lot of people are kind of scared learning the 3D tools and programs. But I can assure you, if you have a little mentor, maybe like me, and a little help, right? Then don't be afraid, because I can guarantee you it's so much fun. You're gonna love it. And it makes things so much easier to do, right? Because you can see things so quick and so fast. It would be just impossible if you would like to try that in any different way. I know now that you know, this big argument also comes up. Well, I use Photoshop and I create, I don't know, digital mockups in 2D, but you will never get that result as quick and as fast. It's just impossible. It just doesn't fly like that, right? So, yeah, as you can see, you can use crazy patterns and materials. Look at this. If the lamp is now like with this golden material on it. And as you can see, I mean, the changes are so fast and they have such a strong impact. I mean, look at this. If that space has now the golden material on it, and let me do one thing here. Again, I open up my camera to 100 that everything is sharp and you don't have this blurriness. But it is insane how quick and fast you can make those changes, and you see how it's changing the entire look. Look at the tiling here, the floor, right? And even those materials in the close-up shot are holding up so nicely. And when you see this here, the flickering sometimes, this is because the samples are very low at this point. But I can assure you, when you look then at my final animations, you can even render animations. And of course, you can render still shots super fast and quick. I mean, a still image is done like in 1 second. You can go in high resolution and you can show different camera perspectives and angles to your clients. And you can make quick design changes so fast and send multiple variations to your client. But maybe you want to just pick the top 3, and it's much better for you at the beginning if you just keep going and you basically assign different patterns and materials, and you want to see how it looks like. Look at this. If it's now a terracotta concrete and I put it on the floor, I mean, just look at that. That looks kind of, it's getting, this is like a lucky punch maybe. Nope, I don't like that. You know, I wonder how the lamp will look like in other crazy materials if I sign something like this or that. And so as you can see, you can create patterns with opacity maps so that you can see the light bulb is shining through. It's the same if you know Illustrator and Photoshop, and you can create pictures like I showed you here with the painting on the wall, right? I mean, that's literally it. Then you can create so many materials and options and patterns as you wish. It's just beautiful. I mean, that technology now is so much fun. So now let's do the next one. Whoa! Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Oh, that's what I wanted to show you, because I get so many times these questions. If you assign something, right, then you can clearly see that the scaling is always different. So, right, so like if you assign, for instance, this one here, wow, look at that. Whoa, that kind of, holy, wow, it's kind of like spacey now. Yeah, that is fun. But I wanted to show you maybe on this pattern here. This is kind of like a fabric. How you can change the scaling. So look at this. If I zoom in, the pattern is kind of pretty big, but if you double click it, then you can change the texture sample, texture coordinate. So, and then you can change the scale of it, very simple. And you just have to change here the U tiling. And let's say if I want to make this smaller, I just tile it 2 by 2, and you have this little sphere here that gives you always basically a reference how that material would look like. So I can make this also larger here for you, that you can see that, right? And if I would change this now to 4 by 4, then you can see it gets even smaller. And this is how you can change this wallpaper, for example. And if I want to make it larger, I have to decrease the number. and make it 0.5, 0.5, and I see it very large. I mean, it's crazy how fast you can do it. And maybe because it's so dark. Oh wow, let's have a look at this one. Let's bring in some crazy colors. Whoa. That's kind of lovely. Somehow it might be a little too much. The crazy painting now. And this wonderful terrazzo material here with the funny colors in it. I would say for today and for this case study and for this design study, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me any questions you have. If you want to get started with this and learn it, I'm more than happy to support you. And yeah, if you want to know more how to set this up, how to use it, just give me a ring. And I would be curious. That would be really cool to know on what specific design studies you would like to work on or you're working on, and what are your challenges, your daily challenges, and maybe your struggles. Wow, look at this now. If I make this just white, very neutral, very clean, I like that. I just used the white gloss, maybe also on the floor. That's kind of like clean. I like that now. Red and white, like my original national colors from my country. As you know, or maybe not know, you noticed for sure on my brutal accent, English, right? I'm originally from Austria, and Austria is the country with no kangaroos. We have a lot of cows. Unfortunately, no kangaroos. I love kangaroos. I would love to have them in our country. Um, but we are not Australia, so yeah. And I moved about 14 years now ago to the United States. And yeah, I love to help architects, mechanical designers, industrial designers, interior designers, retail designers, exhibit designers, you name it, with the projects, and to really work on design studies and on things that makes it very, very lovely. So wow, I kind of, well, when I look on this side with the wood, and when I look now at the red color and the white wall and this beautiful painting we just pulled from Google, whoever did that, that's kind of nice. I like that a lot. But anyways, yeah, so I made this to my real passion and profession over the last 10 years to visualize stuff and to help especially designers in all kinds of different industries. Doesn't matter, like if you're in the fashion industry, in the automotive, in the aviation, like I mentioned before, in the sports industry or like retail industry. And I keep going now, creating more design studies, case studies. And I start also in terms of doing things like this, from the modeling process or like whatever software you use, easy stuff. Architects are usually working with Revit. You might work with SketchUp, or you use Rhino, or you use Max, or like Blender, whatever, Cinema 4D, whatever software you use. There are lots of options I can show you. Oh yeah, and I keep going showing you stuff, and I want to show you now something cool. So because people ask me also, Bernhard, now you did this, great, but can you really create super nice cinematic shots? And yes, you can. So let's do this here. Boom. I choose an f-stop or aperture from 4. Now everything is overexposed, so you need to bring down your exposure, right? And the manual focus point you can change. Now look at this, how beautiful that is. And I can also go into my camera And I like to choose the blade count to 5, which I have right now. And if I change now the focal point and bring up this beautiful chair here, look at that, that's pretty cool, right? And then I bring up the exposure here. I can even go down to maybe 1 is a little intense, but then I adjust it and also bring in a different focus point. But then you have a really cool product shot, right? I mean, then you can really play and create product shots. And what I love this technique so much is, especially for presentations, also for marketing and for selling. I have to say it's super cool because you can create design studies and case studies in a very short period of time. You have very fast turnarounds and possibilities to create something here with materials. This is number one. First of all, for your own studies in-house, so that you can actually see what's going on, but also for your clients. Because if you do that and you want to show details to your clients, then you can create these snapshots very, very fast and quick. And that's also what I want to show you here, for example, because people ask me, so how can I do a nice product shot or like send something, a render then to my client? And because everything is in real time, so you set up a camera, you understand a little bit photography, and you can go in here and then you say like high resolution screenshot. I just capture it, boom, and it's done. And so now I have this specific shot here. And I can also open it with photos or whatever here in Windows, but then you can see, I created even another one. I'll show you then later. But you can see how you can do things and you can send this to a client. And last but not least, if you haven't seen this yet, what I wanted to show you is also that this 3D application, okay, it is literally a 3D application you can send to your client. And what you see right now, okay, is in real time, your client can download this app or application, so to speak, on his PC, and he can walk through, right? So you can send him just one piece of geometry, or you can do more, whatever. And a demo in the clay mode, I also uploaded for you. So you can totally download this thing and experience by yourself. I don't have a specific story behind this here. This is just a case study. I wanted to show you live how I do it. And usually what I do is I turn on a really cool music in the background and I get inspired, and then I'm in a different kind of space. I'm spacing out, so to speak, but I love it. And honestly, if you have more assets, if you create more assets, and I can show you also then how you can import different design pieces, how you prepare all this kind of stuff. You know how lovely you can make this? I mean, honestly, it's like, it's super cool. And just as you can see here, this little thing, what I did, I kind of love it. It's nice. It would be a very nice cafe space, honestly, with the little bit of work what we did on this particular case here. So that's about it. And maybe what I want to show you is I save all this and you can download it and you can experiment by yourself and try everything on your own. And the room in the background, when I fly back here, see, this is all empty. And this, for example, also is just like an empty texture map. But you could go ahead and just, start your own experiments by yourself and do this whole space, which is like in the back this or the corner in the front. And going back here. And of course, you can also change the lighting and everything and experiment. So I'm saving this. And then I did something before here. Wait a minute, this is the sign 01. Oh yeah, and then I wanted to show you that you still don't forget how we started. This is exactly how we started. And for every design study or case study, you can save another file, and then you can see what's going on. And to make sure that I have the right look and feel, you can also see here I created a camera animation or whatever, and I can also delete that. So that was a crazy, so I went here a little crazy and was testing a lot and setting this up before. But look at this, it looks completely different, just like exchanged a lot of stuff. There's now still the picture here, but I think you get the point how crazy you can change a space and what an impact it has. And when you see spheres here like that, those are just material studies as well. So I create spheres and then I assign a specific material to see like how that material looks on a sphere and if I might like to use it, you know. The space outside is actually, it's the same. You can remove elements like this and that. And I did also the lighting on the outside of this entire space. It's pretty big. And I wanted to showcase this space because usually I recommend when you start designing something, like I said before, don't go as crazy with a huge space like this because when you do that, you should be a little bit more experienced how to set up things, the lights and everything, because it's a challenge depending on the computer what you have and if you have a really nice graphics card and RTX card or not. But I wanted to show that it's absolutely already doable, right? And look at materials like that when you have close-up shots. Isn't that crazy? Really nice, huh? And that beautiful woman, oh my God. Yeah, that is a different story, my friends. That being said, I hope you liked my first case study on this crazy space here. And as I said, look at that. You can jump back from one design to the next very simple and very fast and load things and see what's going on. Always don't forget to basically load like the right camera settings, because otherwise if you don't do that it will look completely different and you don't have then the physical camera setup and everything as it should look. But as you can see, I think it's a great tool. I love this digital Mockup Place. It's my playground, and if you would like to know more and see more case studies, yeah, then feel free to contact me and let me know your thoughts and your ideas, and I'm more happy to help you. So that being said, I wish you all the best. Like always, happy designing. Feel free to download this demo here, of course, or like my design case study number 1. I'm going to release more. I show in my next one, I'm planning to show you like a window retail display I was working on previously, and I also have one more in queue that was like a helicopter. It's more like for aviation industrial design, but I thought it was also a pretty cool test I was running. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked it. I wish you all the best. Happy designing, happy pixeling, and good luck, and talk to you later. Take care. Bye bye.